to be on it. If you go on Google Earth, you'll still see it on Google Earth. There was also a huge foundation put up for a permanent tent pad.
I believe it was used for kind of overflow weddings, exhibits,
10 to 15 years ago.
10 to 15 years ago.
So what we
have proposed is naturally this is the prime site for a hotel. Next to the convention center, next to the Jonesburg.
Tremendous amount of parking.
Tremendous amount of parking.
More than enough.
There's more than enough. There's abundance of parking.
Open space requirements.
We have open space requirements. So this was an opportunity to put in
state-of-the-art practice.
kind of like a state-of-the-art practice facility, driving range. We're not looking to do a crazy, colorful Top Golf with all sorts of, overhead lights or anything like that. However, we do like a lot of that technology, and we would look at, uplighting from the ground. Nothing that would disturb, residents, champions, anything like that. But we do have, hitting bays, covered hitting bays, turf lines. And again, this is not permanently planned. These are concepts, look for a conditional zoning.
Big driving range.
But big driving range, huge. The resort hotel, we would look, super nice. It would not be a Marriott, some sort of flat block looking hotel. It would be something
really nice style,
like a really nice style, elegant hotel that would match renovations to the clubhouse, the convention center, kind of everything else.
Does have resort style amenities. This right here has a whole covered kind of
indoor area, outdoor pool area, very heavy kind of amenities to draw guests, the area, that want to.
Up here on the north side.
This is a piece where we look at doing additional multifamily. The conditional zoning requirements don't require us to show buildings. What we do have to do is calculate the density. Let me give that to you real quick.
They would most likely be run from the resort, from the hotel. So not individually sold.
Pin.
Okay, the density.
Let's see here.
All right, so there's a calculation formula.
That needs utilized for this.
And after doing the calculation, which calculates for open space,
if there's any wetlands on the property,
that works up to 72 units.
So
you would have a maximum.
of 72 units. That's probably somewhere in the vicinity of like 3 buildings.
18 to 24 unit buildings.
18 to 24 unit buildings is what that would accommodate.
Questions?
How close to the hotel is the driving range? The way I hit the ball, they give you.
Yeah.
We do have some
detailed plans that have a lot of measurements. I'd say that you're probably 60 foot from the pool area,
several hundred,
and you're several hundred feet from the actual hotel itself.
So that would be something.
That would be something.
Look at.
To where we would look at. That 60 foot is from the edge of the property. So your hitting bays and such could be configured in a way to minimize hitting the pool area. Netting clearly, is something that would be considered to protect that area. so on and so forth.
Yes.
Um,
So-
yes. So,
Double check here.
double check here.
Yeah, so your access point.
Yeah,
for
so your
these
access
units comes right
point
out here to the
for
alley.
these units comes right out here to
The
the
hotel,
champions.
the driving
hotel,
range, everything else.
The driving
all
range,
comes
everything
through
else
off of
comes
Clubhouse Road,
through off of
kind of that
Clubhouse
convention
Road,
center parking lot.
kind of that
works its
convention
way
center
all-
parking lot, and works its way all the way up.
How soon are you gonna build?
Build what?
Build what?
The condos, you're saying?
The condos, you're saying?
Complex. Well, I
Complex.
mean, a lot of that is
Well,
contingent.
I mean, a lot of that is
on this
contingent
conditional
on
zoning.
how this
I
conditional
mean, if this
zoning
was something that was
goes.
supported.
I mean, if this was something that was
would-
supported,
like I said,
this
the
would,
primary
like I
focus
said,
would be
the primary
getting
focus
this
would
going,
be
getting some of the other
getting this
multifamily
going,
units
getting some of the
going
other
that could be
multifamily
utilized
units
for
going
golf
that could be
package
utilized for golf
play.
package play. And
Improving
it would
these
be
clubhouses,
improving
facilities,
these
courses,
clubhouses,
all at the
facilities,
same
and
time.
courses all at the same time.
That's the, right. That was the
That's
intent.
right. That was the intent,
Was to do that, but we also.
was to do that, but we also,
Very
you
grateful
know,
for the town's
very
cooperation.
grateful for the
relationships
town's
that we have right
cooperation,
now,
and the
but,
relationships that
you
we
know,
have
this
right
is
now,
a-
but,
It's been a process.
you know, this is it's been a process. This has been a multi-year process. Things have taken longer than what we hoped.
But,
No fault to anybody,
you know,
but,
there
you
there
know,
will most likely.
there will
be a
most
transition
likely
point,
be a transition point,
of the driving range. That's something
of
we're actively
the driving
looking
range.
at.
That's something that
There's
we're
talks
actively looking at. There's
and
talks
kind of studies and things
and
being looked
kind of
at
studies and
that
things being looked
can we
at
use this tract of
that
land
can we use this tract of
for a
land
temporary driving range
for
up
a
until the
temporary
point where
driving
they get ready
range
to
up until the
construct?
point where they get
What would
ready
that
to
cost?
construct.
What
would
can we
that
do to try
cost?
to keep the driving
What can we
range?
do to
We
try to
understand
keep
the
the
importance of
driving
that.
range? We understand the
We're
importance
not
of that.
we're trying to bring
We're
stuff
not
to the
trying, we're
community,
trying
not
to
take
bring stuff to the
away,
community, not to take stuff away,
you know, but at the same time,
you know, but at the same
with
time,
anything, there'll
you
be some
know,
concessions
with anything,
for,
there'll be some concessions for, you know,
bigger reward.
a bigger
Real
reward.
quick, we gotta move.
Real quick, we gotta move. I'm glad to hear.
Sure.
Sure.
I mean, to answer your question, ma'am, I don't know the exact
I mean, to answer your
to
question,
that.
ma'am, I don't know
You
the
I think
exact
that's
answer to
something
that.
we discussed
You know, I think that that's
with
something to
town
be discussed with
too,
the town,
with DOT.
too,
you know,
with DOT, you know.
What I can say, we do have a whole.
What I can say, we do have a whole new
Reserve,
entry,
going out
you
to
know,
Angel
through
Straits
Pelican
Road.
Reserve, going out to Angel Straits Road. I think that would be helpful.
You know, we
Um,
also are.
You know, we
With what we're
also
designing
are,
here, we're encouraging.
with what we're designing here,
golf
we're
carts,
encouraging, you know,
bikes,
golf carts, we're encouraging
walking.
bikes,
We
we're
love to see
encouraging walking,
sidewalks.
we love to see sidewalks, we love to see it where you don't need to get in the car.
We gotta.
Yep, go ahead, then we gotta move.
Are you working with the town?
Are you working with the town?
Right English teachers?
You know, English teachers?
Right now, you're on something.
Right now, you're on
Is that
something.
capacity?
Sure.
Something that-
Sure.
Obviously, this is a lot.
Yep.
Even though our capacity is
Sure.
gonna take care of it.
Sure.
I know the town, you know, they are.
I know
in
the
process
town,
of
you know,
study.
they are in the process of
Mr.
study.
Councilman Hargraves.
Mr.
you
Councilman
know, I did
Hargraves,
Personally,
you know, I did personally,
early on,
you know, early on,
became,
when
you
he
know, council member.
became, you know,
I
council
did
member,
reach out and state,
you know, I did reach
hey,
out
if
and
we
state
own
that,
property
hey,
currently
if we
or end up
own
owning
property
property,
currently or end up
we would
owning
love to talk to
property,
the town.
we would
If they
love
wanna
to talk to the
us about
town
anything
if
that
they want
we
to talk
could
to us
do
about
with
anything that
property
we
that
could
we
do
own,
with
that
property
would
that we own,
solve problems. You know,
that
what
would
comes to
solve
my mind is a
problems.
shuttle
You know,
system.
what comes to my mind is a
I
shuttle
don't know
system.
the feasibility of that, but I think.
The feasibility of that, but I think
you know,
there's
to
a
have
desire,
beach parking,
you know, to have beach
solutions
parking,
To that.
to have solutions to that.
I think something like that could work wonderfully.
I think something like that could work
There's,
wonderfully. I think that there's,
potential,
you know, potential,
grants and funding that could come from
grants and funding that could come
county,
from
other locations.
maybe the county,
to-
other locations, to work. I think, Todd, you get some input on that?
Yeah, there are opportunities
Yeah,
to do some of that.
there
stuff
are
with the county.
opportunities to do some of that stuff with the county and things of that nature.
They have,
They have.
There are possibilities in
There are
working with the
possibilities,
county, possibly.
working with the county,
These
possibly,
transportation systems that they have
these
are
transportation
no different
systems
than
that they
any
have
other
are
public
no different than any other public
Typically,
transportation system.
municipalities
Typically,
and local
municipalities
don't
and local
seek them
businesses don't
out.
seek them
I can say that when I
out.
worked for another.
I can say that when I worked for another
jurisdiction,
jurisdiction in North
that's
Carolina,
local,
that local
Transportation authority.
transportation authority reached out to us, the town at the time, to offer
Transportation services. So that is something
transportation
that,
services.
you know,
So that is something that,
where you have a Brunswick County
where you have a Brunswick County
transit
system, it's not just to move folks who need to get to medical assistance.
Plus, there's
or
always the
something
option
like
of going to a.
Plus, there's always the
private
option of
shuttle
going to
system,
a
like,
private shuttle
C-Trail
system,
once had that shuttle people
C-Trail
to
once
various
had them
places
shuttle
around the
people
resort.
to the various places around the resort, and I'm not really sure if they took them to the beach or not at the time, but,
That certainly did exist.
that certainly did exist,
And can exist in the future again.
and can exist in the future again.
Just for time's sake.
Just for time's
This is
sake,
150 units
this is
maximum
150
on the hotel.
units maximum on the
So we're trying to
hotel.
put a cap on that.
So we're trying to put a cap on that,
150
150 would be the
We
maximum
discussed the
size.
density for the
We discussed the
multifamily.
density for the multifamily, and we discussed the driving range. Go ahead, Lauren.
We can go real quick through these ones.
We can go real quick through these
13
ones.
A, B, and C. as you see on the
13
map.
A, B, and C, as you
Those
see on the
are,
map. Those
little
are,
auxiliary pieces of
little
property.
auxiliary
That's
pieces
like
of property.
0.05 acres.
That's like 0.05
That's
acres.
Currently. a
That's
little
like
open
kind of
space
currently a little open
area at
space
Champions.
area at the
I have no idea
Champions.
why it was subdivided like
Have
that.
no idea why it was subdivided like that, but it was. Go ahead to the next one.
This is the other piece of that.
This is the other piece of
was
that.
Little sliver.
So that was that little sliver.
What we're looking to do here is.
What we're looking to do here is,
Having
again,
it open as a.
having it open as an
We'd like to
option for
talk to the
something.
champions.
We'd like to talk
We
to
know
the
that there's a
champions.
desire for-
We know that there's a desire
I
for,
think the pool's quite small.
I think their pool's quite small. They have limited amenities. We'd be willing to talk with
About
them
potential expansion of
about
amenities.
potential
This is
expansion of
directly
amenities.
across from
This is directly
driving range
across from
facility.
the driving range
Could be
facility.
overflow parking.
It could be overflow parking,
An
could
auxiliary
be
type business.
an auxiliary
What we put
type
up here,
business,
community
what we put up
centers,
here,
entertainment type
community
business,
centers, entertainment type
parking lot,
business,
something like a
parking
putting
lot,
green,
something like a putting
professional
green,
neighborhood services,
professional
rec
neighborhood
areas,
services, rec areas, retail, commercial, retail sales.
These properties, we would look to
Where
combine
these
them
properties,
back
we would
into
look to
one.
combine them back into one,
That pretty much takes care of that.
and that pretty much takes care of that one.
This is down at the end of Avenue Champions.
This is down at the end of Avenue
13C.
Champions, same thing,
This is like a little
13C.
auxiliary piece of
This
property.
is like a little auxiliary piece of property.
Very small building
Um,
footprint area.
Very small building footprint area,
Used again, all those.
something that
types
could be used against all those same types of uses, parking,
of rec area,
maybe a rec area,
but not a single family home.
something, but not a single family home.
But it's part
So
of
that's why we've put it as part of this application. Go ahead, Lauren.
Okay.
Okay. What do we got here?
Maples Clubhouse.
Maples
This is the
Clubhouse.
existing Maples Clubhouse.
This is the existing Maples
The
Clubhouse.
structure right here.
You can see the
Parking
structure
lot.
right here, the
Ponds.
parking lot, ponds.
This is something, again.
This is
still
something,
R3,
again,
looking
zone
at the proper
R3,
zoning to where if it's
looking to have the
taken
proper
down.
zoning to where if it's taken
Into a
down, it
clubhouse.
can be rebuilt into a
The
clubhouse.
uses that used to be there, Brassy.
The uses that used to be there, brassy, stuff like that,
Professional
restaurants,
services,
professional
Meeting
services,
halls,
meeting halls,
convention areas,
convention areas,
sporting goods store for a pro
sporting goods
shop.
store
All
for a
those
pro
same
shop,
types of uses.
all those same types of uses.
Setbacks wise.
Setbacks wise,
Setback here,
standard
25 feet.
setback here,
We have
25
8 foot on
feet.
this side.
We have 8 foot on this side, 15 foot on this side in the rear.
Okay.
Okay?
We're almost to the end, I promise.
We're almost to the end, I promise.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. this facility.
All right, this facility, this piece of property, this is pretty unique.
On the map.
This is subject 15 on the map.
This is next to Club Villas.
This is next to Club
Club Villas
Villas. This is Club Villas here.
This used to be septic area.
This
for Club
used to be
Villas.
septic area for Club
And
Villas.
this was designed as
And this was designed as an expansion to kind of Club
what we have
Villas.
proposed here.
What we have proposed here
This large
is
area.
right here, this large area
Being able to
of,
do
being able to do a
condo
multifamily,
type
condo
Club
type
Villas.
building, maybe like Club Villas. The density,
for this, I'll give you
is
the
quite low
calculation
for this. I'll give you the calculation here in
And
just
then
a
this
second.
property also.
And then this property also extends to Highway 179,
So we have
down
proposed
here.
a commercial
So we have
facility.
proposed
that
a
would
commercial
come off
facility
179,
that would come in off of 179, and the
multi.
multifamily would be back
That
here.
would just be
in the
one
rear.
building.
That would just be one building, would not be multiple buildings.
That's what's been proposed.
But that's what's been proposed. Give you some calculations.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so the max building footprint.
All right, so the max building
shown down here
footprint,
by 179.
that's shown down here by 179 is 8250,
50.
so 8,250.
Ton of parking all around
There's a
it.
ton of parking all around it.
Okay, and then the multifamily.
Okay, and then the multifamily,
That's right, these computers.
sorry, these computers, not telling me.
All right, the multifamily has a maximum.
All right, the
45
multifamily has a
foot height,
maximum of 45 foot in height,
And that is looking, I believe, at 19.
that is looking, I believe, at
maximum.
19, a maximum of 19 units.
The parcel is at 3.57 acres.
The parcel is at
total,
3.57 acres
1.57
total,
commercial.
1.57 for the commercial, 2.45 for the multifamily at the top.
Questions?
Questions?
What improvements are proposed for taking trail there? About 1.5 cars wide.
Say that again, it's a,
Say that again, it's a,
What improvements to King's Trail?
like for the road, you're saying?
like for the road, you're saying?
Yeah, the roadway's about.
I mean, the roadway, that would be.
Okay, I mean, the roadway, that would be a town question,
That's
because
not
it's a town
something
street.
we could
That's not
do,
something that
you know, as
we could do, as a developer or builder.
But I mean, we would. for
But I
something
mean, we
can do
would,
To
if
help.
there's something that we can do
We would.
to help,
you know,
we would, you know?
okay, good luck.
Okay, go ahead, Lauren.
We have two more.
We have two
This is subject 16.
This is subject
the north
16.
entry.
This is the north entry, located
Some
right
people
here.
may know this as.
Some people may
Discovery
know this as Discovery
Lakes.
Lakes.
This is,
This is,
you know.
the big
ponds
treatment,
here.
you know, pond here.
There's a huge uplands area
There's
here.
a huge uplands area
Right when
here.
you come in the north entry. that's
Right when you
only
come in the north entry, that's only,
800 yards.
you know,
right
maybe
there on the
100
right.
yards.
And then
right
there's
there on
this
the right.
connecting piece.
And then there's this connecting piece
Wouldn't do anything with, just a nice
that
landscape.
you wouldn't do anything with, just some nice landscaping,
Then,
sidewalks.
there's
And then,
other large pieces
there's another
down
large
here on the
piece
south end.
down here on the south end.
This is proposed for multifamily.
This is proposed for multifamily.
You know, this has always been proposed
You
for
know, this has
multifamily.
always been proposed for multifamily. For,
Multiple
you know,
versions of
I've
plans
seen
for this.
multiple versions of plans for
We're looking to
this.
keep this MR3 zoning.
We're looking to keep this MR3
However,
zoning.
We're looking to.
However,
kinda set
we're looking
conditions
to
on it,
kind of set conditions on
that
it,
we're looking for the town to
that we're
approve.
looking for the town to approve.
Pull this up real quick.
Let me pull this up real quick. reason.
All right. Okay, real quick, we're almost done.
Okay,
So
real quick,
here,
we're done. So here,
density-wise,
density-wise,
calculation that's used.
again, there's a calculation that's used, factors 35% of all property
You
open
also
space.
have to take out any.
You also have to take out any
wetlands. This pond.
Notice with this pond,
Of this property.
all actually part of this property, it links out to something close to
So
10
after you
acres.
take the acreage out of
So
ponds,
after you take the acreage of ponds and you factor 35% open space, it gives you a max density of 216 units.
With that, you might be looking at 3 or 4 buildings.
You might be looking at 3 or 4 buildings up here, 24-unit buildings, 3 buildings down here, 24-unit
Comparable
buildings,
to Champion.
comparable, to the Champions in size.
Yep.
Yep.
That
Depends
on the investor.
the investor. They would want to, keep that as part
Almost under
of,
the hotel umbrella.
almost under the hotel umbrella. If it does get old, it would be
short-term,
something that was put on a short-term, type program, so where it could be packaged up for golf play. Go ahead.
Sure.
Sure.
Concerns, right?
Concern, right?
Sure.
Sure.
Well, I mean, that's something for the engineers.
Well, and that's something for the engineers.
That's part of what we hire civil engineers
That's
for.
part of what we hire
figure all
civil
that out.
engineers for. Is to
At this
figure all
point,
that out.
we're not to that point.
At this point,
This
we're
is
not to
just
that point.
simply,
This
you
is
know,
just
hey,
simply,
we don't want to put single family homes on
hey,
this.
we don't want to put single family homes on this. We don't want to put commercial on it. We think it makes sense for condos.
Sure.
Sure.
Right.
Right.
So a height increase here, we would be looking.
So a
at
height increase here, we would be looking at a max.
Is what would be requested, that's what.
Is what would be
town
requested,
maximum is
that's what
currently.
the town maximum is currently.
Yes, we feel that this parcel.
Yes, we feel that this parcel is an important piece.
Elevators, you need certain. heights,
Elevators, you need certain heights, not saying it would be
request to
city,
be possible.
but we would request to be able to possibly do maximum.
No, 35.
No, 35, Chad,
It's 50.
it's 50.
So,
Todd, you wanna hit
the
that?
maximum
So,
height.
the maximum height, I believe, is based off your setbacks. And it can't, you have to give up a certain amount of setbacks going backwards, the way it is right now, with the maximum height being allowed for multifamily structures of 50 feet. It was the same thing like we saw at, the townhomes at Eastwood Bluff. They had to have a setback that went back, that allowed them to go, I believe they're like 47.5 feet tall over at Eastwood
And the
Bluff.
original approved plans for this.
And the original approved plans for this project
Had the buildings,
had the buildings
just under
at a
50
height
feet in height.
just under 50 feet in height for the condominiums that were previously approved on this project.
We're almost to questions.
Yep. We're almost to questions, we'll do questions the whole rest of the time.
Hotel people want to buy those condos, or they could.
Correct. They would keep it under their umbrella.
Correct, they would keep it under their umbrella.
Basically, I mean, the hotel, you're looking at one
Basically,
bedroom.
the hotel, you're looking at 1 bedroom, those 3, 4
All right, last site here.
All right, last site here, this has been known as Heron Point. This is Crooked Gully,
This is kind of.
right here.
What we
This is
classify
kind
as
of
Crooked
what we
Point.
classify as Crooked Gully Point.
Comes in.
There's a small little
Goes
entry
down
that
to
comes
Calabash
in.
River.
This goes down to the Calabash River.
Here in
What
hash
you
marks,
see
this is wetlands.
here in hash marks, this is wetlands.
Beautiful property,
Um,
there is wetlands.
Beautiful property,
It's gonna take
there
a
is
special
wetlands on.
design.
It's gonna take a special
For that,
design.
The density calculations.
For that,
factored
the density
wetlands.
calculations have factored that wetlands,
Maximum.
and we are looking at a maximum density
126 units.
of 126 units.
You're not gonna get 126 units on it.
You're not gonna get 126 units on
But
that
that's
site.
what was requested.
But that's what was
MR3.
requested. This is MR3.
You have condominiums,
I think we have
townhomes,
condominiums, townhomes,
an option between the two.
an option between the two.
We did the same thing, a maximum of 50
We did the
foot,
same thing in Mac,
but they don't have to be 50 feet.
but they don't have to be 50 feet.
So, Mark, I think we're at questions here, finally.
Haven't you started on this already?
Finally, all right, Todd's up now. I'm about to die, my sinuses are killing me, I apologize. I'm gonna let Todd take over. Yeah, so when we do the question and answer session, we need to, for the record, we need to capture people's names, addresses, document your questions, we'll document the answers. Thanks for bearing with me, I'm not a public speaker, I'm a builder. My sinuses are killing me, I appreciate it.
Okay, so like everybody said, if you could just step up to the mic, say what your name is and give us your address, that'd be fantastic. And
Yeah,
then-
Paul Ringel, 214, Brookwood Park Court. This last parcel you're talking about, haven't you already started clearing that out?
No, we haven't started any work on that. tract
Isn't
of
it the
land.
one with the old landscape company that used to put their stuff in there?
I believe they did. We have not started clearing there. We've taken material to that site from stormwater projects and various other projects, but we haven't torn down any trees or done any removal of any vegetation on that site.
But you're gonna build on wetlands?
No, that's certainly not what we're gonna do. Wetlands will be analyzed by the Army Corps of Engineers and the environmental soil scientists, and they will determine what soils are legally allowed to be built upon. And like you see on that map, those dark shaded areas that were on there would be, Lauren, is there a way to go back to, yeah, those shaded areas on there. These shaded areas like down here and up through here, you would not be permitted to build on them. So there'd be no building on wetlands, 404, 401, or any of those kinds of wetlands, as that would be illegal by federal law as well as state law.
Right, I realize what the federal law is, but if you're building even around those wetlands, you're still disrupting the entire ecosystem there.
So we would build within the legal parameters of the federal, local, and state regulations that do allow you to, with wetlands. In fact, by federal law, we certainly wouldn't do this, but you can build over federal wetlands.
Yeah, I realize that. Just because it's legal doesn't make it right.
Right, and that's why we aren't proposing anything like that, and we're not proposing filling any of those wetlands, and we're not proposing building over any of those wetlands. We would build, just like many folks do with their single-family residences and things of that nature, we would potentially build close and up to them. They would have stormwater systems and stormwater protections as required by the county, as required by the state government, and things of that nature that would determine what kind of pollutants could potentially go into those wetlands, what would be diverted away from it into stormwater ponds and retention basins, where it would be required to be filtered out before ever being allowed to go back out into the natural environment.
Okay, last question, and I'll stop. You're doing all this building, but you're not keeping up with what you've already done. I have a warranty that it's 3 months and it's still not even.
Yeah, that would be an issue that you'd have to take up with our warranty specialist.
You're right.
But I appreciate you bringing that up, and certainly we can take note of that and make sure that she gets to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, Leslie Dunn, 215 Brookwood Park Court. One of the things that brought us to Sea Trail was the excellent access to the beach and having a parking lot available to us. Are all of the other, I mean, I could be on that list also, but are all of these other people that are going to be added to the pot, are they going to have the same access, or is there anything being use to protect the ones that already have it?
So everybody who comes into the neighborhood who gets annexed into Sea Trail, per se, per the declaration, the way that is handled, have legal rights to the assets of Sea Trail and the Sea Trail Master Association. So we wouldn't really be stopping them from using anything that anybody within the neighborhood is available to use. Are we looking at ways to provide access to beach facilities and other facilities within the town? Absolutely. So we're talking about trolley systems. If there are ways to do additional parking on the beach, that is certainly something that we, as well as the STMA, it's a constant discussion going on, lack of facilities, increases at the beach traffic level. That's something obviously the town's looking at. It's a problem up and down the eastern seaboard as everybody continues to move to the places they love, the mountains and the beaches. So we're working on it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Kathy Trent, 621 Oxcart Place. I want to, first of all, and I'm sure everyone here wants to say thank you to Riptide and the community for having this meeting so you could share with us the overall vision. Many of us have heard portions of this, so having it presented to us in a logical fashion, I, for one, very much appreciate it, and I'm sure all of us do. And I'm sure we'll have more questions that we will want to have answered, but the one question I'd like to focus on is related to the potential traffic impact
Sure.
from all of the building that's being presented. I just did some rough math. These are probably not correct, because you certainly know more about the planned units, but just going through what you built at Birdwatch, Eastwood Bluffs, the Sawmill Townhomes currently under construction, Gall's Landing that's going to begin shortly, the Discovery Lake condos that you just mentioned and went through, the Pelican Reserve project, which is quite large, 140 some single homes. Heron Point, which we just talked about in the along Crooked Gully and the wetland area, the hotel with 150 rooms, the Champion condos that we are going to also add to that, and the convention center, which we are bringing back, and I think all of us are grateful that you're talking about doing that. And then the 3 golf courses. Just looking at how many tee times they could have per day, per course, thinking that 4 golfers would be there. If I added all that up and just assumed it was 2 vehicles per unit being planned, plus operation of the golf courses at full tilt, it's something like, if my math is right, 2,402 vehicles a day added. Not all of us here now, but another 2,400. And let's assume those folks will go in and out of Sea Trail. So that's about 4,800 vehicles a day, plus us. I agree that the roads that were originally planned and a lot of the development that you mentioned perhaps was here to address that number of vehicles. But as a resident that likes to walk, that likes to ride her bike around and up and down Clubhouse Road, I realize you're talking about sidewalks and bike paths in your residential areas and in the condos. But I would say to you, Riptide, as well as to the town of Sunset Beach, we need dedicated sidewalks, pedestrian pathways all along Clubhouse to each of the entrances, as well as dedicated bike paths. I realize you're not responsible for those city streets, but I hope you will encourage, I hope all of us will encourage, if this development is going to go forward, we need to think of public safety first. And I thank you for your time.
Sure. No, very well said. Very well said. That's a great comment. I will say that we would be building sidewalk more than likely. Well, we will be building sidewalk on more than just the residential sites like you alluded to. There will be sidewalks on the commercial sites as well, as the ordinances would be applicable to those development sites. But yes, participation by other agencies to get those longer sections of bike paths and sidewalks is a key component to making the long-term vision and better access through the community a reality. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, Doug McCoy, 103 Crooked Gully Circle. I had a couple. First of all, I echo what the young lady just said. I agree with several of those questions, especially on the traffic. And also the appreciation of having this meeting as a beginning of informing us and keeping us informed what you're trying to do. Question, first of all, the golf course. You're putting millions of dollars into, you must have some kind of control. Is there any options that you have on the land of the golf course worked out with the owner of the golf course at all, or?
That's not really something that I'm privy to or can really get into at a meeting like this or have those kinds of discussions.
Well, the concern would be that all this money and all these rezoning and stuff, if something would happen with any of, one of the three of our golf courses affects us, all of us in here to a certain extent. So that's the reason for the question. The land of the Maples, are you planning on rezoning that for something, the clubhouse?
The clubhouse itself, rezoning it, it is in the application. Actually, all the golf course buildings are in the application. The golf courses themselves are not.
But would you be changing that land use from what it is right now?
No, they would still be used as clubhouses for the golf course facilities. We are promoting and building golf course neighborhoods, and the success of the golf course is inherently important to us and the success of our communities. Any of the golf courses running into trouble or not succeeding is certainly not on our radar. It is not something that we are looking to do. It is not something that we want to see happen. Worst case scenario, what would happen with, say, like the Jonesburg course is you would have this is absolutely the worst case scenario, and certainly not something we're looking at, but you would have a Jaguars layer situation where the fairways go fallow and trees grow back in those areas, and you wouldn't have your golf course facilities, but you would not legally be allowed to build on those areas because of the way the state stormwater permit is written. The ability to build on the tracts of land that we own is because the golf courses are preserved as open space to allow that construction to take place. And the entirety from the Calabash River to Georgetown Road is covered with a total amount of impervious coverage that is allowed under that state permit that we have to adhere to and keep track of for every application that we submit for building permits, and then we have to resubmit that to the final tally to the state of North Carolina for the stormwater permit to make sure that that is not exceeded.
Okay. The track at the convention center for the future driving range, I kind of laid that out. I'm not sure how you fit in a full driver with everything else you got going on over there, but I don't know if you're going to drop nets and put shorter driving range in or what, but I'll let you.
There is technology out there that we've already researched that allows you to utilize the stormwater pond at the end, or lake as you will, but it is the stormwater pond or a state permitted stormwater pond, and there would be a system under the water that we've looked at that would take balls back into play that can be hit over and over again. So yeah, we've researched that numerous times as to how that would work and that would play out.
Last one is I know you're using a master plan of what was established here prior to Riptide. And the only concern I have is that we try to lay out some of our unit developments, leaving more of our trees with barriers between the roads and stuff.
Sure.
So we don't totally affect we all came here because of the beauty. And I understand money's money, but whatever you can try to do to work out and even green areas for recreation.
Sure.
Develop a park or something like that. I didn't hear any of that talked about.
Yeah, on track 18, the one across the
18?
street from our office. 18. Yeah, across the street from our office. We've also discussed on many of the properties that Cetro Master Association already owns on how to enhance them, benches, fire pits, things of that nature moving forward, additional pickleball courts.
I think you understand why.
But I understand, yes, 100%, sir. Thank you. Your name, sir, and address?
Hours late, I'm gonna be brief. I'm Bob Forrester, 110 Crooked Gully. I just have a couple of questions. Is there going to be another community meeting as under the requirement of the conditional zoning statute in UDO, where after these drawings became available and they're posted, because most of the people here, and I know me, have seen these the first time tonight and really don't have an opportunity to look at them, wouldn't have an opportunity to comment on them, I think is required under the conditional zoning ordinance in UDO and state statute. Are you planning another meeting?
We discussed, I believe, at the beginning of this meeting of being able to hold additional smaller breakout sessions. I'm available at any time. In fact, I was emailing people and texting folks who were texting me throughout the neighborhood that I'd be happy to meet one-on-one with them. We'd be happy to hold some other, like I said, smaller breakout meetings, but I can't comment on the legalities. I would absolutely refer any of those comments back over to.
Well, my concern is that there's a statutory purpose for this meeting, and the record of this meeting has to be provided as part of the conditional zoning application.
That is correct.
And most of the people I know, at least me, have never seen these drawings till they walk into the room, and you can't really comment on them until you have an opportunity to look at them.
Correct. This is a public meeting as required by the ordinance or the UDO. And, you know, we've met the requirements of that UDO, and we will continue to discuss this project with members of the community, such as yourself or anybody else who wants to come by the office, who wants to set up a time for me to come by and meet with them, who wants to set up a meeting in this room, and I'm happy to meet with them. But I appreciate your
I
comments.
don't mean to argue with you, but
I'll
the public comment is a substantial portion of the conditional zoning application.
100% agree.
Are these meetings, these one-on-ones or one-on-tens that you plan to have, are they going to be part of the record that goes up to the town for the conditional zoning application?
I will have to defer to our attorney, and I would have to defer to conversating with the
All right,
local officials as to what we are statutorily required to do to meet the requirements of the ordinance.
I'll take
That being said, regardless, we will continue to talk to all interested parties, answer any questions, and continue, because like Robert was talking about, this is a long-term plan. Even once this makes it to the planning board, which is open for public comment, and then the town council, once again, open to public comment for the record. We'll be talking with neighbors, holding meetings with neighbors, possibly throwing out their surveys as to what those within the community would like to see happen in the neighborhood. So this is an ongoing discussion, an ongoing conversation, if you will, with the neighbors and residents of Sea Trail to ensure that what does get built is something that everybody will in the end be happy with.
But
I
the
think
decision from Sea Trails is,
I think it's time.
well, my two other points. One is, I'm not opposed to residential development, multifamily or single family, which is already permitted under the MR3. And nor am I think that the non-permitted uses and structures ought to be protected. Conditional zoning is a way to do that. But Sea Trail is a part of Sunset Beach, and the impact on Sunset Beach is important as well. And possibly you can't answer this, it might be Robert or whoever's been dealing with the investors. Have they looked at the other 109 acres within Sea Trail that are presently zoned commercial? I'm talking about the mixed-use district and the MR2 district along the entire length of.
No property is actually part of Sea Trail until it's formally been annexed in by the developer. But Mr. Forrester, I appreciate your comments, and we can certainly continue this longer conversation outside of this and give some other folks the opportunity to speak. But I certainly understand what you're talking about, because we've talked about this in the past. And I'm happy to, like I said, happy to meet with anybody one-on-one and further discuss any of these issues in a broader sense, you know, and any other point in time.
Well, I realize you don't control those other 109 acres, but they are 109 that are zoned for it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hi, Steve Pollock. I live at 131 Clubhouse Road. My wife and I moved here 3 years ago because, like I'm sure all of you, we love Sunset Beach. Absolutely love it here. We retired here. We plan on staying here. One of our concerns was after we moved in was that Sunset Beach, great area, the beach is gorgeous, but Sea Trail, and I've lived here in Sea Trail, seemed to be in decline. You know, I mean, the roadsides had moss growing on them. Cute, quaint, but not really, you know, a credit to our community, right? Little things like that. Some of these things have been improved over the last year, and I think we all appreciate that, right? That things are looking up a little bit. But when you look at the developments that are going on around us, thousands of homes are being built, brand new developments on Georgetown Road, over in Calabash, all over the place, right? Those are going to be brand new communities that are going to be very desirable for people to live in. If we don't improve Sea Trail will become a second-class community in this area. It absolutely will, because we're going to look old, we're going to look dated. So we need an infusion of capital, I believe, to improve our community and to make Sea Trail, which should be the crown jewel of Sunset Beach. There's nobody closer to the beach than we are, unless you're living on the island. Right, so where we are, we have the prime location, which is why we've been here so long, because we were closest to the beach. That's the way I see it. But without the improvements that we're talking about, without the investment, especially in the golf courses, and I love to play golf, we don't have the nicest golf courses here. The bones of the golf courses are gorgeous, but boy, do they need some money. If anybody's been on the cart pass lately, they'll shake your fillings loose. I mean, they need a lot of improvement, and that doesn't come cheap. That takes investment. The investors aren't going to put money into golf courses unless they can get that money back. That's just reality. So I think what we have in front of us, and I sense a lot of hesitation in the room about the improvements that have been presented, or I don't want to say the improvements, but the changes that are being presented in the community. I think without them, we're going to be second class. And that's not what I want. I don't want to live in a second class community. So I don't have any questions. I just wanted to express my.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm next. My name is Bill Mack, at 625 Kings Trail. And I don't have a question either. I didn't realize that this process was part of the public record that had something to do with getting approvals and all that other stuff. So because of that, I just want to go on record to say that I was like one of the last ones that got inside. There was 100 people in line behind us. So we talked about having future meetings. And I know you said you're willing to meet with people individually and all that stuff.
Yes, sir.
Those 100 people ought to get an opportunity to have another meeting just like this, somewhere along the line, so they can be part of the public record, as opposed to watching something, on your computer at home. So I wanted to make that
happy to
comment.
meet 100% with them. I appreciate that.
So I wanted that to be on the record. And then the other thing is, I'm a golfer, and I know it's a golf course community, but not everybody that lives in here is a golfer. I guarantee you that. So even though everything's been talked about, golf. But I know that 10 houses in a row across the street from me, not one of them's a golfer, so.
Sure.
Maybe golf is actually a small percentage.
Sure.
So
I know there's a lot of pickleball players out there too.
That's it. That's all, thank you.
Cliff Dolan, 627 East Smith Park Road. Most of you know who I am. But the question I have for everybody in this room, where was the declarant 8 years ago in front of you? He was nowhere. He was in China. You've got a declarant now that's in front of you. Support him or we all will die.
Hi, David Park, 174 Clubhouse. Wanted to pick up on something someone was talking about, the meeting itself and how this is a part of the public record. And I think it's important for a lot of the people that are only able to watch this or couldn't get in, that part of the dynamic of a public meeting of any type is that everyone hears what people have to think about what they have seen. And so my question is there a methodology for people's comments to actually be recorded in some way that they can see those comments? Not just this one here, but for
This lady here, all the emails that folks have sent me, we've been recording all that information. It's something that we've taken very seriously. In fact, most of you probably saw me working on my phone. I was literally communicating back with citizens of Sea Trail who are in Canada right now, who are in, out west, other parts of North Carolina, you name it. And I was communicating with them directly tonight, telling them, hey, listen, here's what's going on. Here's where we're having some technical difficulties. 100% communication is one of my number one priorities. That's why we're here in the office. Unfortunately, space concerns are an issue pretty much everywhere locally. And, we're doing the best we can with the assets that are available to us.
I imagine I'm not different from a lot of people, that although I was able to look up verbal descriptions and download some of the plans and look at them for these areas, hearing you guys actually present them in a forum like this fills in a lot of gaps in terms of what the intent is.
Oh, of course.
So this and what happens from here on down the road, I think is important for everybody to know. The small conversations that might happen one-on-one.
Sure.
No one may hear that, but we are very, very appreciative of seeing the overall vision. One thing that I would want to make sure of that everybody understands is that these rezonings go with the property,
Correct.
not with the developer.
Correct.
So should economics dictate at some point that that a sale occur, then a 54-foot high, 57-foot high, whatever it is, whatever the maximum density proposals that are being made here could have another life, even though Riptide might think that it's not really the right thing for that property. Someone that they could sell the property to might. And so everybody needs to keep that.
That's why there will also be commercial declarations that are referred to inside the Sea Trail declarations, and those will be buttoned up nice and tight. So there are protections in place to stop the potentials that you have with like a traditional rezoning from taking place. I mean, that's one of the beauties of this, is you're honed down into a very limited scope of what you can do. And I know you're familiar with this from doing this in Charlotte.
Absolutely.
But, beyond just what the town can restrict the uses to, we plan on restricting things within the availability to us within the Sea Trail declarations, where they talk about a commercial declaration, and using that to ensure that should anything happen, that is something that is protected for the long term.
By the way, most of the stuff seems very, very appropriate.
Well, I appreciate that.
I mean, there's a couple that I'm not quite so sure about.
Well,
Talk about that at a different time.
thank you.
Thank you. Again, Kathy Trent, 621 Oxcart Place. A follow-up question regarding next steps. Okay, so you had a community meeting and you've taken down our questions. You're listening to some comments. Will those be provided in writing back to the community? So again, everyone can see that was an excellent comment that we heard before. And then finally, what is the process before the city? Can you currently give us a status, what their next steps are? And should we provide any written comments both to you and I assume the city planning board and the city council? If you just explain that process to all of us,
Sure.
so we know where we're at, that would be very
Sure,
helpful.
sure,
Thank you.
sure. So we have submitted what you've seen tonight to the town of Sunset Beach. We have an active application before them. They are reviewing these plans. Our next step is to go before the planning board. This was, like we stated, this meeting tonight was a requirement of conditional zoning. One of the requirements of that conditional zoning application, when you hold a meeting, a community meeting such as this, is we had to advertise 30 days in advance, which is why you all got emails 4 weeks ago, or letters 4 weeks ago. We have already provided envelopes and stamped envelopes with addresses for all property owners who need to be notified via mail for the upcoming planning board meeting that will eventually hold this hearing. The minutes of the meeting that Julie's been taking, a summary of this meeting, a list of people who were invited to the meeting, were notified of the meeting. All of that has to be submitted to the town, and there's requirements that there's like, I should know this, I've been looking at it for weeks. 4 or 5 specific items, the mailers, the addresses of the mailers, the summary of the meeting, that kind of thing, all has to be submitted to the town and into the record. At the planning board meeting, there'll be another opportunity for public comment. And then once you get through the planning board, then you go to town council and they will have a public hearing. And all of that will be duly noticed again, with envelopes stamped and addressed by us, letters provided by the town. And then that will go through basically like we did tonight again, one at a time, and go through the process, and see where that goes. Hopefully everything has a positive effect going down the road. But yeah, it's still a lot of opportunity for public input. And if you have any questions, like I said, I'm happy to help. Like I said, the town's got plans in their possession as well. But yeah, we're hopeful to be moving forward.
Mickey Smith, 123 Forest Walk.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. My question is, on the north entrance, on 13, that runs parallel to the road, you're gonna put units in there, right? Like behind the 12th green, the bird, we're on the bird, behind the 12th green, along the fairway. Will there be a border of trees between the condos and like on number 3, or is it, then I got another question on that too. Go ahead.
Which tract of land are you talking about?
I think it's 16. I think it's 16.
Oh, Discovery Lake.
Yeah.
Discovery. Yeah, so, I mean, we heavily landscape all of our projects, and we do that, across the board, I mean, we didn't cut down the trees behind Birdwatch, or anything like that. That was left up to each individual homeowner. But yeah, on a project like that, where we're bumping up to the golf course, something like that, I would anticipate that there would be additional landscaping and screening like we do in all of our projects. That hasn't been laid out yet, that hasn't had a landscape engineer, architect take a look at that, but typically, we have that laid out in a very fashionable method, I guess.
Okay, and the other question is, how far, and I know you hadn't finished it and all that, but how far will they go down to the water?
How far will they go down to?
Will they go all the way down to the little bridge that, down there?
Oh,
Just curious.
No. It does not go anywhere near that parking.
Okay.
Up. Yeah. You're talking about the bridge right here?
Little bridge, right, that you go over.
Yeah, the buildings would stop back here.
Okay.
There'd be buildings here, and there'd be buildings in here.
Okay.
And then all of this would be open.
Okay, that's perfect. And I'm not sure Cliff Dowling, which way he's going, so I'm not sure on that one. So.
Last question. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm Joanne Bonaccia, 162 Edgewater Circle.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a recommendation.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah. I mean, everyone is concerned about the traffic, I believe, and the improvements, and they want to know what's going on and how it's affected. I suggest that you have mini meetings with certain neighborhoods, with charts you can read, Because even the ones on the computer are kind of hard to focus into. And this way, maybe you'll answer a lot more questions and people will feel a lot more comfortable about it.
Yeah, these will be posted online and they are much more legible on your computer than
Yeah. but
what
some
you're
of the
seeing here
things-
tonight.
Some of the things we had a couple of weeks back and looked like we are big. And
Sure.
You can't see it all at once in one picture. But it would be nice to look at a chart, speak to a person.
Sure.
And about our area that, that we're interested.
Sure. And anytime, once those go up online, Todd@riptidebuilders.com, 910-880-3228. Give me a call, or you can find me at 279 Clubhouse Road. I'm usually in the office. Anybody who's
So
there
where do
can
you
track
live?
me down.
Where do you live, Todd?
I live in Hampstead, North Carolina, so if any of you all want to drive an hour and 10 minutes up the road, I'm happy to meet with you.
Okay, thank you.
But no, I appreciate you guys tonight. Thank you all.
How you doing? A few more steps to go.
She said, just turn it off. Yeah, turn the live stream off. There, thank you.
Yeah,
Is it off?
it should be. It will be as soon as I get done closing all these things out. Leave, yeah.